Hello, and welcome. Smooth transition there. It was pretty smooth. I must say. I don't have my big light on, so apologise if my face is a bit like the Phantom of the Opera, or bright on one side and dark on the other side. Welcome one and all to this week's episode of Shadowrun. We are playing Shadowrun today. It's a role-playing game set in cyberpunk world, when there's all the computers are attached to something called the Matrix. There's a whole load of people who have magical powers called, they all have been awakened. There's riggers controlling things like cars and drones, and there's people who get totally chromed up on cyberware, so there's very little of themselves left. However, they become very, very strong and powerful. But apart from that, those are
then there's us.
I was going to say, oh, what did this? Those are the normal runners. Unfortunately, we don't have them with us tonight. We have a completely different set of runners, and I think it's only fair if I actually allow them to introduce themselves. So, as always, we're going down to Mr. Chugawugga.
Hi guys, I'm Chugawugga. The character I play is called Stanley Lovely. He goes by the name of Studley on the streets. He's the oldest member of the team. He's also probably the heaviest and the one with the least hair and the biggest belly. He fulfills the role of, he fulfills two roles. The first role he fulfills is that of the mage. So astral combat and also spell combat are his two fortes. He's also in charge of keeping the party free of spirits. The other role that he fulfills is that of a face, which is one that he doesn't do very well, but he's the only one in the team that would step up and do it. So yeah, the face skill is to do with all the social interactions between the team and the NPCs. I shall pass on to Big Beastie.
Hello, I am Big Beastie. I'm playing Billy Bob. He could be face if he wanted, but he's just not that bright. He's the tank of the group, which means he is the heavy hitter. He's the one who can take the most punishment. He hasn't really got anything else going for him apart from his good looks and his big, massive body. He's an orc, and he's an ex-British soldier as well, so he's got some combat skills. And that's all he's got, unfortunately. With that, I will pass it over to EPG Longshanks.
Hi guys, I'm Longshanks EPG. Tonight I'm playing a character called Bodhi. He is, as in was said, there's people that do the Matrix stuff, so he's the hacker of the group, which he's doing okay with. Although at the moment in the mission that we're on, there is no matrix, so he's kind of like a little bit confused about that.
Is there no matrix zone?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're back to me. Sorry. I was just checking up on various things there. Yeah. So let me give you a brief synopsis about what's actually happened so far. So the party have been hired by what appears to be a construction guy using the company name of did they give you the company name?
Wu Sing.
Oh yeah, and that's it, Wu Sing. So that's
no, he didn't, but we took it off the exploration team's memberships.
Oh yes, got
that their ID cards that he gave us.
Cool. So basically what has happened is that there was a construction site for digging foundations ready for a new building, and they came across a series of tunnels, drainage tunnels or sewer pipe works underneath the foundation. So the people who are doing the construction sent in a group of runners to find out what had happened. Unfortunately, none of them returned, and so what have happened now, they've brought in the experts, which are the three runners that you see before you, Studley, Billy Bob and Bodie, and they've been hired, yes they are getting paid for this, to go underground and find out what has happened to them, and if possible bring them back alive, hence search and rescue. Now certain things have happened already. There seems to be a whole lot of twisting, turning corridors or tunnels that I'm sure the party have been mapping out so they know where they are and which way to go. They encountered a rather large crocodile that attacked the party, but due to Studley casting ice sheet underneath it, tripped and fell. Shots were fired. Hand blades were stabbed. Shots were fired and spells were cast, and apart from Billy Bob rushing into combat and slipping on the ice as well as the crocodile, they dealt with it quite well. They then progressed, and then they suddenly came across an area where they noticed that the wall was peppered with automatic assault rifle bullets with a whole lot of shell cases all around the place. This caused them to be somewhat worried, and then turning the corner they came into what they have described as some kind of trophy room. There were piles of bones, there were piles of ashes, there were piles of spent cases in there. However, there was no indication of what it was actually for. Leaving this, they carried on down the corridor or the tunnel, and they started to hear some waterfalls, I do believe, some gushing of water. And as they turned around the corner, they found that there was a hole, and the hole went down and there was water gushing down. And I think the final thing that I said to you guys is looks like you're going to have to do some climbing. And I think that's it. I think that's where we got to. I'm just bringing up my map. You can't see it, but I've got a map where you are. If I can find it.
Do you want mine?
No, it's all right. I've got mine. There it is. Chink. Yeah. So you've approached. Now there are some tunnels that you left unexplored as well. Oh, that was it, because you were actually following, I think, the
Arfids.
The Arfids, weren't you? Yeah, and sort of like watching them deploy themselves as you sort of like went along. Yeah. So basically, to cut a long story short, you have appeared at what is a hole in the ground, okay, in the bottom of the pipe. So it looks like the water seems to be coming from a number of pipes, both inside the cylindrical pipe, but also on the edges at your level. the water seems to be gushing out of these quite quickly and then down the actual hull. You can also see that there's an RFID tag on the far side of the hull, which you can quite easily ascertain that it's actually there's what you now know as a time, and the time on it is 21:03. Okay, now you can see down the hull. You can see down the hull. It's approximately, you think, about 16 meters down to the ground through the hull. So you're going to have to do some climbing if you wish to go down. Now, I don't know if you remember, but they actually provided you with some climbing gear.
Yeah,
I did, yeah.
And some thermographic goggles as well. So yeah, so just to let you know, the hull's about large enough for like a troll to go down. So all of you will fit down quite reasonably. You know, nobody's going to get stuck or anything.
Are we going to actually be within the water as we're going down there?
Yes, unless you decide to stopper off the pipes. There's about 6 of them. And the other thing that you do notice as you look down, the walls seem very slippery as well, due to the constant rush of water.
Right. So, I mean, but looking down it, we wouldn't be able to see what was coming off from that.
No.
Does it look like it goes into a larger room?
It looks like it goes down, and just make me a perception roll. Yeah, 3 successes. Yeah, you figure it probably, when you go down, it comes, the corridor, the tunnel underneath seems to go back the way you came. Yeah? So
Right.
you sort of like come along and then down, and the tunnel goes back that way, if you could see that. Yeah?
Yeah.
So it will go down and back. It looks like it's a dead end at the drain pipe sort of like area.
Okay, so Studley's going to take off his backpack and start looking at some of this climbing.
Yeah. Okay then. So
equipment to see exactly.
Okay then. So just to give you the practical demonstration actions and role for this. Climbing is a complex action to start off with, so you can only do it once per combat initiative pass. It's actually done on your gymnastics plus your strength. That's the skill that you do, and that's limited by your physical limit. Okay. Now this tells you how far you can move. So if you gain 6 successes, then you can go down 6 meters. Now, because you have some climbing gear, you can actually, when you're going down, you can actually, a minimum you can do is 2 meters. Okay, 2 meters, and you actually get a +2 modifier to your dice roll because you've got assisted gear. However, you get -2 because of the slippery wet conditions. So basically, those are sort of like they cancel you out. Okay, so basically you're just doing a plain roll. Now, just as you know, when you go down, so you would attach the ropes at this end and then you would go down. Every time you stop, you must make a reaction plus strength test, okay, to hold on. Okay, now if you fail that second test, you start to fall. You know, so it's a case that you sort of like shimmy down. Say you got to do, say you roll your dice and you get 3 meters. You would go down 3 meters. Then you do that thing to hold on to, and then you would roll again to climb and hold on to. Does that make sense to people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a series of gymnastic rolls, and you've got 16 meters to climb down. If you didn't have the rope, the climbing assistance, it would be -2 because of the slippery weather. But obviously they thought ahead and gave you this.
Good planning. Billy Bob's gonna suggest he's gonna turn around and say, Billy Bob's gonna lower you down.
Is that wise? What would happen if you are halfway blowing us down and I don't know, something attacks you and you have to let go of the rope?
Hope is not that far.
And you may have noticed, but I am rather large boned, and
But also, what about the first person who's going to go down there is going to be down there a long time on their own. Anything could happen down there.
oh, but best I go then, rather than you.
Well, I was thinking more Billy Bob, but if Billy,
He won't be able to lower himself down and go down first at the same time. It would have to be up at the top, lowering down.
I realised that, but why couldn't one of us lower him down and Billy Bob go down first? I'm just floating it as an idea.
Billy Bob heavy.
Yeah.
I'm 100 kilos.
I don't have all that much upper body strength. my strength is in my mind.
Oh, bless
Right.
you.
Okay. So you're going down first then, Studley. Okay, I'm happy with that.
Okay, so is the idea that Billy Bob will be lowering you down?
Well, the idea is that Billy Bob will lower. He won't be able to lower himself down.
No, but he can lower you down if you wish.
Yeah, whether or not we'll have to see whether or not his strength is.
Okay, so you attach the rope onto Studley, and Studley, you get ready to sort of like be lowered over the side. So Billy Bob, you need to make your gymnastics plus strength roll, and that's limited by your physical. Your gymnastics probably is already set up to do strength.
Physical.
It is, yeah.
It'd be hidden because it'd be in.
No, it's set up
Agility.
to do agility. So I've changed it to strength there. So you have 6 dice because you're not trained in gymnastics at all, aren't you?
So you just want me to roll the gymnastics, yeah?
Yeah. When it says specialized, just say no. So this is you, Studley, going down. So you get. Oh no!
He's going to wish he climbed down himself now.
So you sort of like get lowered over the edge, and you sort of like get 1 meter down, and Billy Bob sort of like the rope starts to run through his fingers too fast, so he tries to grab it. Can you make me a reaction plus strength? So you'll have to add it up because it won't be a recognised roll. So add your reaction and your strength together, and then roll that. Do you have the normal roll? Normal roll.
Oh, the macros at the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you just do a normal roll. Three successes.
That's
So,
Billy Bob. That's not me.
no, because you're not. It's Billy Bob's grabbing hold of the rope to stop you falling down. You're just sort of like slowly being lowered down. So the water started to gush onto you. You're down 1 meter, so you've got another 15 meters to go yet. So Billy Bob, you need to roll your gymnastics again.
Sorry. Billy Bob's going to shout down, hands were wet.
So you're now 2 meters down this hole. And then
You hear sort of like Studley sort of like spluttering.
Yeah,
There's all water sort of like cascading on you, and you hear him shout out, "Faster, Mr. Bob, faster!"
So roll your reaction plus strength to keep a hold of the rope. So that's the same one as you did before, your 13 dice. Yeah, you're keeping hold of the rope every time. So he's now 14. He's 2 meters down, so he's got 14 meters to go. So roll your physical and strength again.
Physical and strength.
No, gymnastics. Yes.
Gymnastics.
Yeah.
Dudley sort of like being battered into the side of the walls as he's going down.
Yeah. So you're now down. You're now down to 12 meters. Okay. Reaction and strength. So those 13 dice.
And he's running calculations in his mind to see whether or not, if he did fall now, whether or not he could actually take.
Yeah, that's fine. And gymnastics roll. Oh, we're getting there now. 10 meters gone. So
The rope's dried his hands. But
yeah, I think you're even if we buy hits for your strength and reaction, I think you can always, because that's like 3 hits which you'll do. So just roll your gymnastics again.
again.
Just to speed things up. Oh,
See, my hands are all dry now.
yeah,
The rope-
7 meters. So roll it again.
Critical glitch.
Oh, 3 meters to go. You're warming up now.
And
Now he's going to get
Oh!
one every time.
Right. Okay then. He, as it goes through, he fails to catch hold of the rope, and Studley, you just start falling. Studley, can you make for me, please, a reaction plus strength roll? And we'll see whether or not you can grab hold of something. 1 success, yeah. So you sort of like drop another meter, and then when you suddenly manage to grab hold of one of the pipes that's issuing out water, so you're about 2 meters from the ground now. So just to let you know, you can probably drop now. It's if you drop more than 3 meters, then you take damage. So you're probably safe now. Just to
Dudley's sort of like holding on to this pipe, but he's no idea sort of like how far down he's been sort of like lowered.
yeah. So roll another gymnastics check.
oh, me.
Yeah. Yeah, you can sort of like get down. You can see the bottom now, Studley. As you look down, you can see that you're about 1 meter away. And another one. Oh, yeah. Just do another one, just in case you fail it. Oh no. Oh wow!
Why couldn't he have done that one
At the beginning, yeah. So he sort of like releases you down, and you land at the bottom. Just to let you know, Studley, there seems to be a lot of water down on this level, if nothing else. But the tunnel sort of like carries on past your way. You can stand round the cylindrical hole if you wish. There doesn't seem to be anything down here. You have a quick look down the corridor or the tunnel, and there's no like crocodiles or anything there waiting.
Okay, so when he's down at the bottom of the tunnel, he's going to turn off the torch. Well, turn off his torch, and he's going to keep an eye out down the tunnel via the thermographic in his glasses.
Okay, so when you look down the tunnel, you notice that there's a whole load of what appears to be it's either fungus or mosses and everything. It seems to cover the whole of the tunnel. and it's some of it's quite thick on the roof and sort of like dangling down. And they look like, some of them are, you would say, about 30 centimeters long, a good foot. They're sort of like hanging down from the ceilings, and there seem to be moss. There is some water going down the middle of the tunnel, but this whole area does not look like the area that you've come down from. This one looks a lot more natural. Yeah.
Right. Okay. He's going to keep an eye on down there just for movement.
Okay. Cool.
Anything big coming up, like a crocodile.
Brilliant. Okay then. So you're down there. So Billy Bob, are you lowering Bodhi down next, or Bodhi, are you climbing down yourself?
Bodhi's going to look at Billy Bob and say, "You ought to do that again."
Yes, sir.
Great.
Okay,
Thank you very
so
much.
gymnastics roll for the 16 feet. Let's have a look. Yeah. So that's down to 14 meters. Okay, next one.
Do you want me to do the strength?
No, because you can just buy scores on that, because if you buy, it's one success for every 4 dice you have. Well, you have 13. So you'll automatically roll about 3 dice and it just speeds up. But if you get 0 successes, then the person on the rope has to try to grab hold of something, or they would fall.
Right.
So do your gymnastics roll again. Right. Now that...
Right, okay.
Okay, hang on a minute. Because that's actually a critical glitch.
Oh, God.
So unfortunately you're not going to get... Because he's critically glitched it, you're not going to have the opportunity to quickly grab hold of anything. So you sort of like start to lower it down, and then all of a sudden the rope just sort of like goes, and you sort of like, it's one of those actions, you sort of almost like abseiling down, and you sort of like push away from the rope, from the wall, ready to abseil a bit down. You push away from the wall, and suddenly you're just falling. And Billy Bob's going like that, trying to catch the rope as he sort of like falls down. So you need to make for me, please, body plus armor roll, and you got an AP of -4 on that.
AP -4.
Yeah.
4.
Billy Bob's just jumping down. Catch me.
Okay, so
Bodhi go, "What the?" I'm not actually going to say it.
Okay, so you sort of like come down, and all of a sudden, suddenly, you just see Bodhi come crashing down and landing sort of like in the water, and there's a huge splash of water. Now, you were actually 14 meters up, so that's 11 P you would take, because you have 3 meters. So you've got, that takes us down to 11. You've got 4 successes, which takes us down to 7. So you take 7 boxes of physical damage. As you sort of land down, suddenly you hear a bit of a crack. Okay, you're not too sure whether or not it might have been Bodhi's ankle or shin. He might have a shin splint or something like that going on now. But he's sort of like lying on the floor with all the water sort of like casting down onto him.
Studley will sort of like turn round when he sees him land, and he'll sort of like put his vision back onto to low light, and he'll look at Bodhi and go, "Oh, you made it down quicker than I did."
And then all of a sudden,
I got the express route.
All of a sudden, you just see like that as the rope, the end of the rope, sort of like collapses all over him.
You make it.
You just see Bodhi just stick his thumb up in the air towards Billy Bob in case he could see it, and turns to Studley and go, "Good thing I paid first class." Oh, I might stay here for a little bit.
Okay, Mr. Billy Bob, it's time for you to climb down by yourself. So you have 16 meters to climb. So roll your gymnastic skill.
Here we go. You might want to move.
Yeah, so 15 meters down, you're going down nice and steady. You're not making the same mistake as Bodhi made. You're not pushing yourselves out. You're quietly going down one step at a time, using the pipes that are stuck out. Roll it again. Yeah, it's all right. We'll have a break at
1:30. Bodhi is, whilst that's going on, Bodhi's going to sort of like lift his arm up and hold it out to Studley and go, could you give us a hand up? I think I've done my back in.
And Billy Bob's coming down so slowly. He's virtually climbing. He's not abseiling. He's he's gained a bit of speed. You've got 10 meters to go.
I slipped a bit there.
Just press a whole load of them at once.
No, don't do that. Oh, 5. Yeah. That's a bit of abseiling. You've got 5 meters to go. Once you get to about 3, you can jump down and take no damage. So you're 4 meters away from the bottom now. Yeah, so you're now 3 meters. So you can either roll it again or just jump down.
Oh yeah, jump down.
Yeah, so you sort of like jump down and sort of like land, and you've left the rope tied off at the top, so you will be able to climb back up the rope if need be. Because this was assisted climb going down, so you're all down there now, and you know poor Bodhi looks a little bit worse for wear. You know, as well as being slightly wet, he looks like he's bruised, maybe have something broken. Yeah, so back down to the corridor, so you can all see this now. So there's sort of all the walls and ceiling are covered with like moss and fungus of some descriptions. They're sort of like 30 centimeter long funguses coming down from the coming down from the ceiling, and they're almost like egg shaped, you know, so it's almost like a bulb fungus dotted around the place. You also notice that you have lost all contact now with the outside world. So your comlinks, you can still talk to each other, but you can't actually communicate to the outside world. It's definite now that that's gone.
Guys, I just had a thought. Bodhi says, as sort of like he's now sort of like managed to stand up and lean against the side of the tunnel, and goes, looks back up and says, "There's only our rope there."
Yes, there is indeed only our rope there.
So,
You want rope?
how did they either they'd taken their ropes with them, or they got down a different way?
Or somebody's taken the rope down once, or brought the rope back up once they had gone down.
Possible.
I think. I mean that there was an ARFID tag saying that they had come this way.
Yeah, there certainly was. Yeah.
No, I was just thinking it was odd. You would have thought they'd done what we'd done, and left a rope for them to get back up with.
Unless, of course, they had other means. I do know that there are certain magicians who have the ability to levitate people and items. And I also believe that there's some much higher grade technology that would allow them to do the same thing, depending on how well funded they were.
And from the description that you got, if you remember, you can still see the cards, the ID cards. I've still left that handout opened for you. It looked like they were very well financed. It doesn't look like they were sort of like poor runners. It looked like it was quite a professional and well organised team.
I think it's important for us to realize that the people who we are working for are not the same people as who we are looking for, if you understand my meaning.
Yeah, I think I'm getting that one now.
So looking at these, what are they, vines or something coming out?
Fungus. Yeah.
Fungus. I mean, does it look like they've been pushed aside, or like?
No, they're almost like, imagine sort of like tennis balls stuck to the top of the roof of the ceiling of the tunnel. So it's obviously they're growing out. So it generally means that a fungus in this situation is probably ready to release its spores. They probably swell as the amount of spores increase, and then they're probably waiting for an opportune time to burst open and shower the place with their spores.
It does seem very very interesting, the actual fauna that's down here, and especially seeing that it wasn't actually it wasn't visible in any of the other tunnels. I wonder whether or not it's due to the extended moisture that's down down this one.
Could be. Water does make for some interesting fauna.
It does definitely seem very peculiar. If Studley sort of like shines his light now down this corridor, can he see?
Yeah, the corridor goes on. I mean, it's more than 60 foot at the moment. So
and how far does it spread with this fungi? Is it sort of like
it's covered?
patched?
Yeah, it's covered. The only bit that's not covered with this moss or fungus is the narrow bit of water that is flowing down, but it flows down away from you, and that's the only bit. It's almost like if anything tries to take root there, it would have been washed away in any case. Does anybody have like a biology roll or a parabotany roll or botany or anything like that?
No, I have parazoology and paranormal critters.
Right, so that's basically. Does anybody have any skills that would help them identify what this fungus and moss is?
Personally, I don't.
Okay, then. So
No.
Billy Bob might have something.
do you have a biology skill, Billy?
No.
Billy Bob has a flower skill for girlfriends.
Yeah.
Does that count?
Bodhi, do you have any
No.
skills?
I've
Okay,
got
then.
nothing.
So that sort of like ends that up. Yeah. So you have no idea exactly.
Gentlemen, do any of you have anything that could generate a substantial amount of heat, like a flare?
Billy Bob's gonna
No, not with me.
Let me check it, JSOC.
I know the answer to that question.
I didn't know whether or not anybody had something like a combat knife, because sometimes there's like something like in that.
No.
No.
No, so Billy Bob's just gonna extend his hand blade.
I've got this.
I'm almost tempted to see whether or not it's possible to actually freeze the fungi.
I mean,
Cool.
well, that might be preferable because they do kind of look like they're going to go pop. I don't know what's going to come out.
Studley wants to just switch his perception to the astral and see whether or not there's any auras coming from down there.
So making a sensing roll. One success, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just call up my table. Right, okay then. So the first thing that you notice, certainly once you switch your senses to the astral, the first thing that you notice is that there's something like mist floating all around. It's almost like a colour of an oil slick, and it's behaving like that, and it's swirling around. It's not incredibly thick, but it is there. You don't almost like have a clear vision, and you suddenly realise that there's some kind of background count here. There's some kind of lingering magic, or there's magic being produced. You're not too sure what, but there's definitely a background count here. Just to convert that to rolls, remember you now need to make -1 to your rolls because of the background count. The other thing that you do notice is that when you look at the fungus and things like that, they're all definitely very much alive. You know, they're living. However, normally when you view something living in the astral space, it's quite a bright colour, quite a nice colour. However, these are all very dark colours, sort of like deep reds or deep purples and deep blues and deep greens, and they're not sort of like glowing like you would normally see them when you ascend. They almost like seem to be corrupted. And yes, there is a dog barking outside Studley, so don't worry, it's at my end. Can you see what I mean? They look like they're corrupted or some manner.
Do they look like they're separate entities, or does it look like it's all one?
Right. Well, it's a rhizomatic fungus is rhizomatic. So
I knew that.
yeah. So what that means is that imagine. I think did I talk about this before sometime? Imagine sort of like a network of roots, and then every now and again this fungus popping up to cascade its spores all over the place.
You did talk about this, but that was in D&D.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. Yeah. So
I did.
Infected.
I would have been asleep.
yeah. So it's all sort of like you figure it's one kind. There's the moss, that is one entity. And then this fungus is definitely another entity that is probably spreading round. You probably think it hasn't come any closer to the water because of the cascading water. You know, because if it came too far, it's a bit like when you drive a double-decker bus and there's trees. Eventually, it makes the shape of the bus because anything that grows on that just gets taken off. But it's definitely not a pleasant experience, Studley, viewing the astral, but at the same time it's not all powerfully evil. It's definitely not a nice feeling.
Okay, so Studley's going to switch his perception back, and
the other piece of information I have for you, not in astral, but you figure that this corridor is quite wide. It's about 17 meters across, so there's plenty of room for you to walk two abreast, you know, in order to go down if you wish.
How deep? You mentioned that there's water.
Yeah.
Coming into this tunnel. Is it pooling at the bottom? Is it?
Yeah. Well, it's sort of like falls down here, and then the water that you're actually stood in at the moment is.
What do you mean when you say it falls down here?
Yeah.
It cascades down.
Oh, right, okay. I didn't know whether you were showing something on the map that we didn't have.
Yeah. Have I not moved you across to
No, we're on the starting screen.
Hang on.
Now on the gym. Now we're on it.
Yeah. So
Okay.
this is where the water cascades down to.
Okay.
And so the distance, you know, across here, it's only at 4.5 meters at the moment, but it's a lot wider than that. It's about 17 meters. And just to let you know, there's about the corridor, the water is about 3 meters wide in the middle, and it's about 15 centimeters deep.
Okay.
So you'll definitely be getting your feet wet.
Okay. And how tall is the ceiling? Is it 7 meters in diameter?
Yeah, so you can quite easily walk underneath it without damaging the fungus.
Right. My only concern would be that the fungi might release on the presence of a higher temperature. Yes.
Right. Well, that's not going to be good.
Well, unfortunately, it doesn't seem like we have any way round that particular problem. I was looking for the actual dimensions of this tunnel. It is probably going to be highly unlikely that I will be able to cover it entirely in ice. I would have to cast the spell numerous times, which would be very draining.
Right. Okay. So maybe save it for an emergency. If we notice that it starts sporing, is that the word, on us? Then maybe you could do something.
I don't know the technical term for fungi releasing spawns. It could be spontaneous. Spontaneous.
Oh dear. Well, in that case, shall we get a shifty on, because I'm starting to get a bit feel like I want to get out of here.
Nice.
It's not the nicest place to be, especially after falling.
This reminds me. This reminds me so much of the Call of Cthulhu adventure, by the way. You all just stood here having this.
If I see rats,
having this really deep and meaningful conversation.
Sorry, you fell.
Yeah, he dropped me, and I'm just going to give a glance over at Billy Bob. I mean, it was an accident, I'm sure, but yeah,
Oh, you didn't say anything. Do you need medical attention?
I did say I might stay here a little while because I've kind of hurt my back.
I thought you were just lazy.
But medical attention would be useful if we've got anything and we've got time.
Right, Studley's going to try casting a spell. I don't know. He's going to try casting the heal spell.
Okay, so it'll be spell casting plus magic.
Mm-hmm.
What force are you doing it as?
6.
Okay, so what you need to, Bodhi, you need to take your actual essence and then take away your max essence from there. So take away 6 from it. What do you end up with? What cyberware have you got?
Well, I've got a remaining essence of 5.7.
Yeah, so that.
So I've only used 0.3.
Yeah, so your essence. What's your 5.7?
7.
So take away 6 is 0.3, but it's rounded up. So that'll be minus. So Studley, you'll have -1
as a situation modifier.
Yeah, because of the cyberware that Bodhi is carrying at the moment. So roll spellcasting plus magic, and then it'll be your logic plus willpower as the drain. Yeah, so 4 successes. So in which case, Bodhi, you get 4 boxes of physical back, and incoming
Studley
drainage.
hang on, because I've got another -1 for that because of the background count currently.
Oh yes. So you're going to roll it again then?
Okay, I'll roll it again.
Put my health back then.
So I'm going to have -2 on
Yeah.
the situation modifier.
Yeah. So 2 successes there. Do you wish to use any edge?
No, I'll sustain it for the
Cool.
for the 2 rounds, and then
so that'll be 2 rounds, 2 rounds that you need to sustain it from. So so that's about what 12 seconds, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty quick.
So you sustain it, and so you get 2 boxes back, Bodhi.
I think once Studley's healed Bodhi will go, "Oh, thank you, Studley. That's taking the edge off the pain a little bit. That's very kind of you."
I think we should probably go down in single file and follow the same path.
Sounds like a good idea. As Bodhi gets his pistol out again, and he's going to slowly attach his silencer onto the end of his pistol. And then say, "You never know. There was a crocodile upstairs."
So I guess I'll lead then. And he'll keep to the left-hand side of the.
Why Studley leading?
Yeah, I was gonna.
Because nobody else offered.
Yeah, but I was gonna say if we was getting ready to go, Billy Bob would have ploughed through.
Cool. So put yourselves into your marching order then, so we know. If you go there, remember you're being 15 centimeters off water.
Wet feet.
Yeah, so you're probably better of coming up there. Okay.
Does it look like the there's any part of the corridor where this fungi is less?
Yeah, as it goes over the arch, it gets less as it comes down.
Right.
So on the side, it's mainly just moss and things like that, and it's only when it sort of like cascades over the top that you get these like tennis balls of fungus just sort of like attached to it. Okay, so you head on down and you sort of like go. It's about easily about 120 feet or something like that. It's quite a long walk. Then you come to a T-junction. So you can either go left or right, obviously.
Studley wants to start looking around on the floor to see whether or not he can see any sign of an ARFID tag.
Yeah, make a perception roll for me, please. Yeah, no, you can't see any ARFID tag around at all. Just so you know, if you're interested, the water to the left seems there is water there, but it's quite still. The majority of the water seems to be flowing to the right.
Bodhi's going to say, call out in a slightly louder whisper. Is there an RFID tag around?
Dudley's going to say back on his subvocal mic, now that he has one, he's going to say, no, that doesn't seem one. So in lieu of that, I think it reverts back to Uncle Stewie.
Yeah, either that or follow the water. Because it's got to be going somewhere.
Yes.
Which I think in this case is the same thing, because they both seem to be going right.
This is quite funny, actually, because Bodhi's talking to Studley, then Studley, you're replying via your subvocal mic. So it's just like anybody watching would just see Bodhi just sort of like having a one-way conversation with himself.
Now I know how it feels.
Studley wants to take a few steps down the left-hand corridor.
Yeah.
As we're stood there, and once he's done that, he wants to turn off his flashlight and activate the thermographic vision on his glasses, see whether or not there's anything visible.
Yeah. So the only thing that your thermographics show up is that the actual amount of moss that is generating a small amount of heat, and only barely there's barely a differential between the rock and the moss, but there is a slight one that's allowing you to see it. It looks like it actually from the left tunnel. It looks like it peters out. It definitely looks like it's getting less as you go down that left tunnel.
Studley go back to low light, turn on his torch, and he'll say, "It looks like maybe the fungus might be attracted to running water. I'm not a botanist, of course, but that would be my opinion."
So, which way do you want to go? Left or right?
Well, right is always right. Studley's going to bring up the information that we had on the away team.
Yeah, their ID tags. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah. Cool.
Don't suppose these fungal bulbs, whatever they are, don't suppose they look anything like the logo of.
No, they're more circular, more sphere-like.
Right.
Or ovoid-like.
So he's just going to have a quick look at the various titles. Suppose maybe a biologist might study the fungus.
Well, biologists deal with sort of like living things, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Yes. Right, Mr. Billy Bob.
All right, so Billy Bob's going to carry on.
You're heading right, yeah?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so you start sort of like trudging through the water, and you do notice indeed that as you go further and further down this corridor, this tunnel, the amount of moss and fungus actually increases. It looks like it enjoys the really sort of like the dampness, which is perpetrating round this sort of like permeating, round this tunnel. So it gets more and more. You do notice, however, that there's only seems to be two kinds of plants here: the green mossy plant and the fungus, and that's it. There's no other plant. Almost as if it's probably got rid of all those. You know, as it's sort of like grown and spread throughout the tunnel. You also do notice that as you get a little bit further down, the corridor turns quite naturally, but quite a sharp turn to the left.
Anything on the? Can we see anything on the wall or anything like that? There's no bullet marks or anything like before.
Make a perception roll. No, it looks like both the moss and the fungus haven't been disturbed for some time. It looks very well established as a plant. There's no holes, there's no gaps or anything like that.
Studley's going to say on his subvocal microphone, I suggest that if we get to the next junction and there's no sign of any RFID tags left by the people who we're looking for, that we maybe backtrack and see whether or not we've missed something of relevance.
Agreed.
Sounds like a good idea, lads.
Okay, so you continue, and what appears to happen to the tunnel, it seems to be creating a hairpin bend. It looks like very sharply, sort of like turns back on itself. So it almost like does that.
Mm-hmm.
Does it go left or right?
So you're coming.
It goes
this
round
way.
to the left.
Yeah, it sort of like comes back round to the left, almost back the way you came.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not that a tight hairpin. You know, it looks like it's been opened up slightly. You don't see any RFID tags here at all.
We're going to continue down until we come to a junction.
Okay, so you carry through the hairpin bend, and then just slightly after you sort of like come out of it here, there's a turn, and it sort of like starts to go straight up like that.
So it doesn't actually. There's no branching off.
No, at all.
It's just a standard.
Yeah, and your previous turn was the same. So you literally came down and round like that.
Mm-hmm.
So there's been no actual turn at all at the moment.
I thought the other one was a T junction.
Yeah.
The T junction was when you first came out of the. That was a T junction, but the previous one you just went round a corner.
Right.
So there's been no choice to make since leaving the T junction.
Is it flat or is it sloping downwards?
Yeah, there's a slight decline to it
because it is. So the water's running.
Yeah,
in the direction
the water is
we're going.
Precisely.
Okay, so we're going to carry on round and carry on down that tunnel.
Okay, so you go another like 30 meters, and then you notice that the corridor turns quite naturally to the right.
So it's going back on itself again. So looking around again, I take it's the same, like the moss hasn't been touched.
Yeah,
at all.
it's exactly the same. Like I said, whenever you start to move down this tunnel, the amount of moss and fungus is actually increasing, but it's not enough to block off the tunnel or anything like that because it's quite a wide tunnel, remember.
Unfortunately, we are committed at the moment for going down. Going down this way, and until we can eliminate the possibility that they haven't come down this way.
Yeah, it seems to be the only course of action at the moment. Although perhaps we could pick up the pace a little bit.
Is there any like animals around, like rats or?
No, it seems to be completely devoid of animals. Bodhi, you don't think you could run if you wish, but you're moving at maximum walk speed at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah, just plod on.
Okay, do you wish to carry on down the tunnel?
We're going to carry on down this one, yeah.
Okay, yeah, so it goes for quite a distance, maybe like 400 meters. And you just get into the point that you're thinking, good grief, how long is this going to actually last for? When you notice it comes to a crossroad, sorry. So you can go left and right, and you can go straight ahead. Just to let you know, two things. The water here seems to split. It seems to be going both straight ahead and to your right. It seems to be flowing in both directions. The
right would be the way that we came, would be heading back towards where we had originally come down.
There's left and right and straight on.
Okay.
So the right and straight on, the water sort of like continues to flow. To your left, it doesn't seem to at all. And you, on close inspection, you figure there's a bit of an incline on the left tunnel. The tunnel to the left, it seems to be going up that direction. You do find stuck on the wall, there's a RFID tag, and the time on it is 22:23. I popped it in the chat for you.
And which wall is it on?
It's actually, if you imagine, I'll just draw it on so you can see it. If you imagine that your crossroads is like that, so you're coming up this direction, the RFID tag is just on your side here.
So it's on our right hand side as we get to the
Yeah, but it's in your existing tunnel.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not on any of the other tunnels.
Oh.
So we go right.
That seems to make sense as long as they're travelling in this direction.
Well, it doesn't make sense compared to all the other RFID tags that were in position. They had always been on the side that they had actually gone down, and they had always been on the left-hand side. Logic would dictate that if this was actually the same type of mark, would be that they were actually coming up this way rather than going down. Would it not?
But the time is the time at the hatch that where we climbed down or I fell down was 21:03. This one is 22:23. So if we're still working on that basis, then they were travelling in the same direction as us.
You don't think you've walked an hour and 20 minutes to get to where you are now?
No, I thought we established last week that they were minutes as opposed to hours, time hours. Well, that's what we decided anyway.
Yeah. So your last one was 21:03, and then this one is 22:23. So therefore, that
1 hour 20 minutes has gone by.
Yeah, and you don't think you have been walking for 1 hour 20 minutes, not at all. So either something happened along this route that caused them to be delayed, or they didn't come this way.
I mean, it might have taken them longer to get down the tunnel hatch than us, as bearing in mind there's only 3 of us, and one of us fell.
Yeah, I was talking more about the actual where we found the RFID tag.
Yeah, you did find
up to
it.
now,
Yeah,
the tag has always been on the left-hand wall from where we've been going, and it's always been going on. It's always been on the. Apart from that one time when it had fallen off, it's always been on the corridor for us to take. Now, if we follow that logic, it means that we should actually be going back on ourselves.
Right, but the only other junction we came across, we didn't find an RFID tag.
No, that's correct. I'm just giving you the information that my brain processes. If we were actually coming from here, if we were actually walking down this corridor, then the positioning of the RFID tag makes sense. Currently, it makes no sense.
We go back.
But it also could mean it could also it can also be relevant for the difference in time. Yes.
They took a different route to us.
Or this could be the route that they took coming back. This could be the second. Hypothetically, they might have gone left at the first T junction as we came down. We found no ID tag there. They may well have gone left, and they may have come back up this corridor, the one directly in front of us, and then the position of the RFID tag would then be similar to all the rest that we found.
So basically, you're saying that if they were actually coming down, like this way,
yeah,
then
Then
that
the
RFID tag is identifying that this here is the tunnel to go down.
Yes.
Yeah. But at the moment, I think you did find one earlier that was on one side and you decided to take that direction. But the interesting thing is that the most interesting thing about this is that from the last, it seems that it shouldn't have taken 1 hour 20 minutes to get from getting down the thing and to here.
If we went left instead of going right, we would have got to this spot early.
Well,
it's hard to say, Billy Bob. Considering we didn't go that route.
Well, I'm just trying to think of the logic here. So right, we went right, yeah, and
so you went right and you got to this point,
and we got to this point.
a quicker time than they got here.
But if this is right then, and they came down, we've bypassed them somehow.
There could be several possibilities for the time difference. One, they could have maybe stopped for a rest. I did notice that there was also a biologist in the actual team. They may have had particular interest in the fungal growth down here, and they may have stopped to take specimens and to see its origins. They may well have also actually gone down the left-hand tunnel, the one with the stagnant water in, just to check out the.
Correct. There's loads. There's numerous possibilities of what they could have done, but each one of them is a possibility.
Oh yeah.
All you know, or the only facts that remain at the moment is that you've got to this point in a quicker time than they did.
So the way I see it, it boils down to three choices. Two choices. We either follow the RFID tags and go back on ourselves, and then take the left-hand route when we get to it, or we follow what your uncle says, Studley, and right is always right.
But that's what I'm trying to say. It doesn't make sense. If say that they did go left, and now there's an RFID tag on our right hand side. From what Studley's saying, that we would have met up with them if that was the case.
Yes, logic would dictate.
Or if they did come up this way, would you not put the RFID tag on the right hand side to say we go right?
I was purely given the information
Speculating
of what we had actually found on all the other ID tags. It may well be that they were in a hurry.
Yeah, and again, you all speculating. You can't. The only piece of fact that you have is that they got here quicker than quicker than them. So you're right. You've got 4 options. Well, you've got 4 options. You can either go back the way you came and go back to the T junction, where you will find where you came down from the hull, or you can go straight on, or you can go left, or you can go right.
I say we follow Uncle's. Is it Uncle? Hmm?
Uncle Stewie, I think his
Stewie.
advice may be. I have an inkling that maybe the corridor to the left might be of more interest to us. The incline intrigues me.
Okay, so Bodhi, you would like to go right. Studley, you want to go back the way you came and go around it and see it. Billy Bob, what would you like to do?
Back with the way I came. I want to go left.
Oh, so you want to go left here? I thought you meant left at the original T junction.
No.
Right.
Because left here actually goes upwards, doesn't it?
Yeah. So I've just lost contact.
I've lost Roll 20 as well.
It's got here. Your connection to the server has been interrupted.
That's what I've just got.
Yeah, I'm trying to
I'm
reload
fine.
and it's I've got a black screen so far. It's got stuck on loading.
Oh, it's gone now.
It's just waiting for roll 20.
I can't even refresh.
Oh, I've got the taskbar up now.
Okay, well it's all right because there's nothing on there. There's just a tunnel with your counters. Where would you like to go? Would you like to go? Yeah. So Bodhi wants to go right. Studley wants to go left. You've got. It looks like you've got the casting vote, Billy Bob.
I actually wanted to go left. I thought you were saying that. I thought Studley was saying that he wanted to go back on himself.
Got you.
Go round.
So therefore 2-1.
That's fine. Let's go that way then.
You're going left. So this is the corridor this is the tunnel that slowly has a bit of an incline in it. And the tunnel goes up and pretty soon it becomes devoid of water altogether. And you just seem to be walking up just like a normal tunnel. That's exactly what it seems. You also notice that as you go up here, the amount of moss and fungus slowly decreases. And after a good 40, 50 meters, you get this feeling quite correctly that you seem to be on a left-hand turn. But it's not sort of like straight round. It's almost like a sweeping curve. So as you're going through down it, you can still see quite a far ahead down the tunnel, but then you do realise that you're turning to the left. And then
Is there? There's still water in the middle of this, is there?
no, that like I said, that has slowly disappeared.
Is there any markings in the middle of the tunnel?
Markings.
Is there anything that looks like there might have been tracks, as in more of a railway track or anything like that in the middle of it?
No, not at all. It's exactly like the previous sort of like corridor.
Right. Okay.
It's just a tunnel. It's just that this doesn't seem to have any. It seems more tunnel than moss.
It was just with how it was sort of like more sweeping. It sort of like Studley had the impression that it sounded more like a railway tunnel. Something that maybe something had been travelling through it.
No, there's no sign of tracks or train tracks or anything like that. It's just this. It almost looks like there could have been water running down here at one point, but now there's nothing at all.
Billy, as it went from water into no water, Billy Bob wants to have a look on the floor to see if he can see any track like footprints or anything.
Yeah, I mean it's like a stone floor, so there won't be
right.
anywhere.
So
there's
no
not
sludge or anything.
No, not at all.
Okay, never mind.
I wonder whether or not this was a flow pipe from the other direction where the stagnant water was. If something had actually blocked that off, then it would prevent the water from flowing down here.
Could be. Perhaps that could be what caused them to go down in the first place. But we'll soon find out when we get there.
So what you do notice is that it continues to sweep round, then it straightens up. And what it comes to is you notice that you've got a turning off to your left, and the tunnel carries on straight ahead. Now, interestingly, two things that I need to make you aware of. When you shine your torches down the straight ahead route, it seems to go only for about 10 to 20 meters, and then it comes to a dead end. It looks like it's walled up. It looks like somebody's purposefully bricked it in. You can see that there's a marked difference between the corridor, the tunnel walls, and the construction of this brick. You know,
and that's to the left.
No, that's going straight on. So as you shine your torch straight ahead, you know, your flashlight going straight ahead, your torch beams just hit that blank wall. Going to the left, the corridor is still just as dry. There's less moss and fungus here, and there's also stuck on the wall if you imagine that it turns to the left on the sort of like northern wall of that turn, if that makes sense to you, there's an RFID tag that says 11:59. Sorry, 21:59.
And the other one was 22:03.
22:23.
22:23, that's correct.
So it's gone 21:03, 21:59, 22:23.
It would make sense. My logic at the crossroads currently.
Oh, it's interesting. I'm just on Twitter at the moment and Discord.
Discord's gone down as well.
Yeah, it says
Roll20's back.
We're wearing and investigating connectivity things. Yeah, Roll20's back now.
I don't have it back yet.
You just need to refresh.
That's a shame. I fished these bad boys out just in case.
I'm going back into it now.
And then I had a realization that I don't know what the skill points are, what my dice pool sizes are.
Yeah, so the tunnel that goes ahead seems to be all bricked in, and then to your left side, the corridor goes down, and that's quite straight. You sort of like shine your torches down, and there's nothing on the walls or the ceiling here. There's no moss or fungus. There's no water down or anything like that. It just seems to be a lovely, straight, originally designed tunnel.
So, can we go down? Can we go straight on and have a look at this this tunnel that ends in a?
Yeah.
In a...
So, like mentioned, you go straight ahead, and you can see that there's the original arch of the tunnel. Mm-hmm. But it looks like it's been bricked up, so yeah. It looks like it's completely different stone, and
has sort of like moss grown on it, anything like that.
No, it doesn't look like that at all. There's no moss down this corridor in any case, but there's no moss on it. It doesn't look. Make a perception check for me.
I can't. I don't have Roll20 yet.
It's just gone.
My Roll20's crashed again.
Yeah.
Hang on, I might have Bodhi's stuff written down from when I was making him up.
Well, that will it would be helpful for you, but it won't be. We can't. We can't continue unless it comes up. Okay. Well, look.
Oh wait, I'm loading.
I mean, we could go for the break and see if that.
I got 3 successes on my perception.
Did you roll it?
Yeah.
Yeah. In Roll20 or?
No, I went to random.org, which is a random dice roller.
So,
and I know my perception's 8, so I got 3 successes.
3 successes. Yeah. So there's no moss growing on it, but it does look like it's been there for quite a long time. This
Right, so it's not something recent.
it looks like it's older than newer than the tunnel, but not super new.
Okay. So Studley will say that he'll say, "I said that this obviously hasn't been constructed recently. I thought it was worth checking that out. Let us head back and head to the
Roll 20. We're experiencing some Firebase instability, and you might be experiencing some slowdown on the site. Stay tuned to this space for updates." There's a tweet at that. So yeah, so we're fine at the moment because we don't need to roll any dice. So which way are you going?
So we're coming back from where we've just been, where it's blocked off, and we're going to turn right, which is going to take us down the corridor.
Yeah. Okay then. So this corridor again, it's just like the rest of them in this area. There's no water in it. There's no moss or fungus growing at all, and it looks quite almost like stark. There is Studley. There's still the background count here, but there's nothing living growing in the walls. And as you come down the tunnel, after quite a distance, it turns for you. It turns right,
and it turns right. Does Studley have any knowledge on background count when he was learning magic? Would a background count? Well, I suppose if we were under the.
Do you have a magic theory roll?
No.
Right. Do you have anything that would be suitable for magic theory of any description?
Don't think so. Apart from that, I'm a magician.
Okay, then. So roll your spell casting plus your logic, but with a -3 to the dice roll. So you know how to cast spells. So we're looking to see what your knowledge is actually like of how magic works, etc. That's what we're doing at the moment.
4 successes.
4 successes. So yeah. So background magic, it can be created in various ways. For example, they tend to be very much extreme of emotions, or they're polluted in some way. So you will know of things like insect shamans or toxic mages that actually corrupt astral space. They sort of like side on the dark side to sort of like use their magic. You also get, if you've been somewhere that there's been something quite horrific and quite emotional, then the background count will be there. So if you went to a party, for example, and it was somebody celebrating their 4th wedding anniversary, then there would naturally be a background count there, because all the emotions are emanating out from the people. In a similar way, if you went to, say, a funeral, okay, if something very traumatic has happened, there'll be background. Or if somebody's practicing a lot of magic, especially if it's corrupt, then that would also provide a background count of some description.
Could it be down to the area that we're in as well? Say, for example, we were in the toxic area.
It couldn't be down to that you're underground. There definitely needs to be something else that's causing it.
Right. Okay. So we'll follow the corridor going round to the right.
Oh, it must be something to do with the server over there, because now people are saying that they can't search Spotify.
Yeah, I mean, it's more than one thing, because Roll20's down, Discord's down.
Yeah, I mean, most of the last time it happened, a third of the internet went down because Amazon lost all their servers. So it's probably something like that. It will depend what server Roll20 is using.
But it's the Russians.
Well, can I just say that my website is still up?
Well, hey.
I'm the beacon in the Matrix disaster.
And Pornhub's still up. Somebody's just told me that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I wish you wouldn't actually upload videos to that anymore.
Yeah.
It's most disturbing.
What are you laughing at?
I was going to ask them the same
seen
thing.
What they asked.
What they were laughing at.
Oh, right. Yes, exactly. Right, so we're going to follow it. So it went round to the right.
Yeah, hang on, let me just get my thing
It's
back.
the right.
Yeah. Okay, and the corridor carries on and it comes to a T-junction. The tunnel carries on. And the T-junction, you suddenly realise that if you go left, you're going back down to the first T-junction that you came to. Yeah?
The first crossroads that we came to.
The first T-junction that you came to. Can you remember you came out, there was a T-junction, you went right. And then it looks like that goes round all higgledy-piggledy, and then it comes back to this point. So you're at a junction, left and right. The left goes back to, if you carried on down left and then turned right, you get back to your climbing hull. The corridor carries on the right and turns up ahead. And you also notice that there's an RFID tag here that has the time of 21:37.
And is that on the left-hand wall?
It's on your wall. It's on the tunnel wall that you're in.
Right.
So logic would suggest that they actually came.
They actually went left at the first T-junction.
You
Came round.
Yeah, so you've almost like gone backwards. Yeah, so you've gone. So they obviously went the opposite route. You do notice, just to give you the information, if you turn right at this point, the corridor curves round and there's another walled up tunnel. And one thing I have to make clear at this thing, the tunnel didn't end. It's been walled up. So it doesn't look like it sort of like comes to an end at all.
So it looks like it's been walled up on both ends to either...
It just looks like, for example, if you were going on the map now, have you got your map back?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If
I don't have a map.
No, roll 20.
My roll 20 is working fine again.
Yeah, I'm not. And yes, I have refreshed it.
I actually closed the thing down and reopened it.
Yeah, that's what I did, and now it's come back.
Oh, your connection to the server has been interrupted.
Yeah. Okay, so what was I explaining? Yeah.
All I wanted to know was whether or not it was almost like the way that we came the first time, the way that we came the second time. Is there sort of like maybe a section of corridor that has been walled up at either end? Or is it just one walled up?
There's been two tunnels that have been walled up. Whether or not they actually meet somewhere.
Whether or not it's the same tunnel that's been walled up.
Yeah. So
either keep something in or something
if
out.
you imagine that my arm is the tunnel heading on this way,
yeah.
All of a sudden something's blocked off like that.
Yeah.
It's not a dead end. People might say it's a dead end. It is a dead end, but only because it's been walled up.
Yeah.
The tunnel does not naturally stop in any of those two places. Right, it's just gone 8:30, guys. So I suggest that we have a break there and then come back and see what Roll20, etc., is doing then. So we're going to, if you're watching the stream, we're going to take a quick break. So please do come back. We'll be around for about 10 minutes and then we'll be back. So please do come back and we'll see you then. obviously, no.
Skeleton.
So say again, sorry. I know the adventure, yeah.
No. Well, no, you were saying about we carry on until we need to make a dice roll. I mean, how far is there a lot of dice rolls to be made, or is?
Well, I mean, as soon as you hit combat, then once you hit combat or you have any other skills to roll, then that's that's not a problem. Then you can actually. It depends what. It depends what kind of a skill, but see, it's. I mean, it's up at the moment because I'm just looking at Bodhi's character sheet.
I had a mini heart attack when I realised Amos is probably looking at my. I thought, Roll20's gone weird. It's now doing all sorts of things.
But I don't know how long. Right. Well, it's up at the moment. You're in, Chug, so that's all right. So let's just carry on, and then if it goes again, then we can call it for the night, and then just start again next time. So currently, your current situation is as follows. You have almost like gone round in a full circle round the tunnels. So you found 2 tunnels that have been walled up. Okay. So the only place that you can go back to is the T junction bit. If you remember, that was 22-23. That's the next point that you. So at that point you went left when you came to it. That went on a slight incline.
Sorry, T junction or crossroads?
Crossroads, sorry, yeah, crossroads. The original crossroad where you sat and had a massive debate about everything. So you sort of like at that one, if you go back the way you came as you get to it, which is the little map that's next to Bodhi's character, you've got to the point that you actually went left before. And you've come almost like right way back. So this, it almost like goes like that. Background, but so the next question is, so you can either go now, if you wish to adventure further down, you can either go straight ahead and where the water flows, or you can go right where the water flows. And if you remember, the water's flowing down both these corridors, both these tunnels, almost like equally.
I think we go right.
Yeah, we can try that way. Although they seem to be just been going in a. If your theory was right earlier, then they've just gone in a big loop.
Yes.
Okay, so is the idea that you're going to go right then?
Yes. So if we were coming from original,
from the original direction, so you're coming to where the orange blob is on the, and you're going to turn right. Yeah. Okay then. So you turn right and you start to go down the corridor, and you're sort of like doing your flashlights and sort of like keeping the area illuminating, and you do notice that down here the water is back, and so about 15 centimeters deep, and you also notice that the moss and the fungus is back, and it's sort of like growing a lot more. And as you carry on down, you Billy Bob, you suddenly, can you make a perception roll for me, please, Billy Bob?
Yeah. 24 sixes.
So you as you go down, you suddenly halt the the party by doing some kind of army hand signal, and Studley bumps into you because he has no idea what that's about. And you sort of like look down, and Studley sort of like looks at you, and you sort of like go like that, and direct them to look down the corridor, down the tunnel.
I didn't see what you did, because just as you did that, Longshanks moved, his chair squeaked, and it switched to his thing on Zoom, because I have it minimized and only the person speaking.
Oh, I've got all 4 cameras up.
I have all 4 cameras open as well.
What was the
Yeah,
thing?
he sort of like stops the
Yeah, I got that bit,
and then
yeah.
he sort of like looks at you and does the 2 fingers
Oh, right, okay.
staring thing. And you both Studley and Bodhi, you follow Billy Bob's gaze, and there's something crawling on your side, further down the corridor, just coming into your torchlight. It seems to be moving, and it seems to be crawling, and as it gets a little bit closer, it's still quite a distance from you. You suddenly notice that it's definitely human. It seems to have some kind of uniform on, and it's crawling towards you. It is then that you notice that there is something attached to one of its legs, and so it's like crawling along, and it's trying to sort of like pull itself along, and it has this thing attached to its leg. And as you look and sort of like go down, you shine your light down it, you figure it's about 7 meters long, and it's covered in sort of like colourful scales. It's not like dull brown or anything like it. It's almost like iridescent scales that as your torchlight shines on it, it sort of like glints off it. The guy or the girl, the human who's crawling towards you, literally seems to have their face down and is literally doing almost like a commando crawl, as if it does slowly trying to get
just dragging himself along.
Yeah, very much so. Right, let's have some initiatives. Hang on, I'm just going to clear.
What happens with Studley's, because there's -1 on the background count, which means that his focus is still in effect.
It
But
won't affect.
what will happen to the spell that was cast on it?
It'll just be reduced by 1 force point.
14.
Okay, but how will that govern the successes that I got?
So how many successes do you do when you cast it?
I think I got. I must have got 2 successes, because I've got +1 to my initiative and +2 to my reaction.
If it's +1 dice, isn't it?
Yeah.
1 dice per 3 hits?
It's 1 dice per 2 hits, and +1 per 1 hit.
Okay then. So all that's going to go down is that you're going to lose the extra dice and get how many, and +1 to your reaction, isn't it? Or what does it say before? +3.
Right, so it'll just be sort of like it's not there at all then.
Yeah, because you'll still get your pluses to the because isn't it +1 dice plus every 2 or 3, but the initiative, the reaction adding on is just normal hits, isn't it?
Yeah, so if we're taking it down from 2 successes to 1 success, it'll be +1 to reaction.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you'll lose the 2.
I'll cancel it anyway, because it's
Right. Well, you'll have to hang on. You'll have to roll initiative with it on in any case before you can start cancelling spells. So roll initiative with it on to start off with, and then you'll have to take your first. Right. I'll put you onto the. Hang on, because you're not on the. You didn't click your character, your token. Right. Cool. So so essentially that's the order. So Billy Bob, you're up first. What do you wish to do?
Okay. First of all, he's just gonna stand there and like pretty much assess the situation. Like, is anything stalking it?
Well, you've got that assessment already. That's what I've described.
Right.
So you can see exactly what I've described. So it's time for action. Yeah. If you want to take any action, you can just wait and let it crawl towards you if you wish.
No, he's gonna head down there, and he's gonna stop like a couple of meters in front, just so we can get a better look of what's going on.
Okay, so you just sort of like, I mean, you just sort of like walk casually down, and then you sort of like stop 2 meters away, and yeah, it's definitely a 7-meter long, colourful snake attached to this man's leg, most definitely. Studley, you're up.
Studley wants to reach into his coat pocket, taking out some spell reagents, and he wants to cast a spell.
Yeah, cool.
So I'm casting Power Bolt.
Okay.
At this thing. I'm using the. I want to use the reagents to lower the power, the force of it.
Okay.
So rather than setting it as a limit, I'm using it to lower the force.
So what force power bolt are you doing?
I'm going to cast it at force 12.
And what you're doing with your?
I'm using the reagents to lower the force of it to force 6. So the spell will be coming out at force 12, but I'll be.
So you'll spend reagents to set the limit for spell casting, rather than using the spell's force.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what? So you're using 12 lots of your reagents then?
I'm using 6 lots because I'm setting it to force 6.
6, yeah. So in a pinch, you can spend reagents to set the limit for spell casting, rather than using the spell's force as the limit. Use the number of drams of reagents spent. Yeah. Okay then. So.
How would that affect my drain?
Well, literally, I'm not. To be honest with you, I'm not too sure, because I don't understand what that is saying. Because in which case, if you had a whole load of reagents, you would just use them all the time, because you're not going to have any drain.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
I'll cast it normally. This is coming off at force 6.
Okay then, I'll need to look that up, because that seems a completely silly rule. Okay, so this is a power bolt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're going to take 1 point of 1 stun damage. Right. So I have a resisted by the target's body. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I get to actually resist it by. So I'm going to roll. Where's my roll? Where's my roll? There it is. I'm going to roll my body. So that's 27. Right. I get no successes.
Okay, so you take 3 boxes.
3 boxes. That's cool. Excellent. Yeah, Bodhi, you're up.
So Bodhi's going to move up, so standing just behind Billy Bob.
Okay.
Just come back to me.
Yeah, but he's going to cross over to the other side. So he's behind Billy Bob, but on the other side of the sewer.
Yeah.
And he's going to call out to the chap and says, "Hey mate, are you all right?"
Okay, yeah. So you look down to this guy who's sort of like crawling, face down along the tunnel, almost like doing a commando crawl with this huge 7-foot long snake attached to its leg. It's obviously bitten him or something, and you sort of like shout, "Hey, are you all right?"
He looks up and says, "Bloody PG."
Yeah, you
Well,
notice
it's
you
to make sure
notice
that
that
he's not being controlled by the snake.
you notice that the snake on its action now rears its head away from the leg and takes another huge strike at the person. And the guy, you can see it's a guy, sort of like raises his head with this almost like gurgling scream. And
do I recognise him from anybody on the exploration team?
not from your distance, and plus Billy
right.
Bob's in the way at the moment. And he sort of like screams in almost like agony, and then he just slumps down with this snake still attached. So change initiative. So Billy Bob, you're on 4.
Yeah.
And Studley, you'll be on 1. Cool.
Billy Bob's going to try and chop the snake in half with his hand blade. He's gonna just.
Yeah. So you need to go up to the snake. So therefore, roll your hand blade to come out as a free action because it's wireless. So therefore, use your hand blade attack on the snake.
Does he still get the wireless thing because of where we are?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, but it's
Muscle thing rather than.
Oh.
Yeah, but there is why there is the matrix down here because otherwise you wouldn't be able to communicate.
Yeah, and I suppose the ARFID tags wouldn't.
Exactly, but what you don't have, or what Bodhi doesn't have, is the matrix to the main matrix, like
No.
the grid that's above, because you're literally too far underwater. How many successes do you
I
get?
got 4 successes.
4 successes. So this would be reaction plus. So this is it's dodge to come up first. 4 successes as well, yeah. So you sort of like ram your blade down on its head, but at the last moment it just sort of like clicks out the way. It almost like it's one of those like pesky flies that you see the fly there and you think any minute, and even though you're really close and then do it at the last moment, it still flies away. And you sort of like stab down with your hand blade, and this snake, this iridescent scaled snake, moves at the last minute. Studley, you're up.
Studley's going to cast another spell. This time he's going to cast an indirect spell. He's going to, as this snake starts to move, he almost throws a punch at it as he casts his clout spell.
Cool. Yeah. What did you want to say, Billy Bobson?
I was going to say, does the snake move away from the body, or does
it was firmly attached to it, and then as you came down, you thought it would be an easy hit, and it just sort of like moved out, and now it's sort of like reared up in classic cobra.
Well, as soon as it rears up, that's when Studley casts.
Yeah, cool. So it sort of like comes up, and you just whack it. What's it resisted by?
Well, you can dodge it to begin with.
Okay then. So my dodge is that. 1 success.
Okay, so you're looking at 11 with a -6 AP.
So this is my body, my resist roll now, isn't it?
Yeah, you can -6 on this.
-6. Hang on. Yeah, he's only got 5 dice. So,
okay, so 11 boxes.
Yeah, so your clout comes round, and as it rears up, Billy Bob tries to hit it and spear it. It sort of like moves out the way and sort of like rears up, and then all of a sudden this almighty thump from one side sort of like knocks its head into the wall, and it's just sort of like collapses to the floor, almost like twitching. As it happens. Studley, can you make me a power critter roll? I think you have that, don't you?
Yeah.
Billy Bob wants to walk up to it, put one foot on its neck, and like stick his hand blade through its head.
2
Yeah,
successes.
you can go do it. Yeah, you figured this isn't a snake. This is definitely a young Naga, Naga.
Okay, Studley's as quick as he can and as safely as he can, he's going to rush up to this person, sort of like turn them over, and he's going to start channeling his magic through to see whether or not he can
by all means.
fill them with healing power.
Cool.
I'm going to do this at force 6. I don't know what his
hang on. I'm just looking at that now because I know which one it is. Okay then.
Which roll it again then?
No, that's fine. 4 successes, you got a drain, haven't you? 1 box of drain there. So you sort of like plough the healing magic into him, and it seems to, you sort of like plough it through your body. You think 2 things comes out from trying to cast this heal spell. The first thing, that there's quite a battle going on trying to get the heal into him, trying to get those magical forces into them, and you decide that there's definitely some toxins in his blood stream, and you notice that the bite on the leg where it was attached is already sort of like the original place it was attacked has already sort of, it's all blackened round the bite mark and inflamed and everything, and you think there's been literally toxins being ploughed into it. The second bite mark that happened right at the beginning, that is not as blackened, but you can definitely see the work of toxins in there. And despite your powerful magics going into this guy, you figured that his heart has actually stopped beating. He's literally dead. When you have a look at him on your sheet, it matches up to the paleontologist.
I thought it was going to be the specialist.
No.
Mio Jong-sung.
Yeah.
What else do I know about Nagas? Obviously, that they have a poisonous bite.
Yeah, they do. They actually have a poisonous bite that has quite a nasty toxin in it.
And this one was a young one, I think.
Yes.
And it was 7 foot. 7 meters or 7 feet.
7 meters long. I'm just...
Do I have any idea how much a full-grown one is?
I knew you were going to ask that, so I'm just... Yeah, it's got rather like a snake head, almost like a dragon head.
Yeah.
You figure they come maximum is about 10 meters in length. You also know that they're...
Are they solitary or?
They tend to be. They tend to be very territorial. And they do consider them that they're also dual natured, so they have a presence on the astral plane as well as the material plane, and so they're on both, so you can attack it from there. They are meant to be quite intelligent, and in the past, Corps have used them as security, a bit like hellhounds. But that's gone down, but mainly because they suddenly realised that they were being studied as much as the corporations were studying the Nagas.
Okay. Can Studley quickly search him to see?
Yeah, just make
maybe something like a data pad or
So make a perception roll, and this is not actually to find anything. It's just whether or not you can find a hidden stuff. That's what I'm checking.
Mm-hmm. The other thing that I want to do is I got a success.
Okay, so you do find that he's got a comlink on him.
That's primarily what I was looking
Yeah,
for.
so that he does have a comlink on. You think he's not. He doesn't look like he's got a huge amount of equipment on him at all. He seems that if he did have any equipment, he's dropped it or it's left him. The only thing that is available is the comlink, and that's the only thing that's actually.
So Studley will stand up and he'll say, "Yes, it would seem that we're too late. God rest his soul. He has succumbed to the poison."
It's a hell of a snake he was bitten by as well.
Yes, it was actually a naga, not a snake. I did manage to find his comlink, whether or not you can retrieve any information from it.
Oh yeah, I'll have a look. Bodhi will hold his hand out, and then he'll say to Studley, "So what's a naga when it's at home?"
It's a large snake.
Right. Okay.
Very poisonous, as you can probably tell from the colour of this gentleman's skin.
Did well then to survive so long after being bitten once.
I think that the first bite was probably a bite that didn't kill it. He probably wanted to use him for food, and the gentleman was trying to escape. With the naga trying to drag him back to his abode to consume him. After which time he probably would have, as snakes do, probably hibernated for a bit, being full.
Bodhi wants to have a look at this comlink.
Yep.
So he's gonna, if it's turned off, he wants to turn it on. He wants, if he can find a matrix link to it, he wants to try and get into it that way to have a look to see what's on it.
Okay, so
I would suggest using your DNA, your direct neural interface, to plug directly into the comlink.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, that was going to be his second choice if he couldn't get in through any matrix link. So you see him reach to the back of his head and pull out his DNI, plug it into the DNI cable wherever it is, whether it's at the top or the bottom or the side.
Yeah, it's just a jack plug on the comlink.
Well, this is happening. Billy Bob's going to search the area.
Yeah, just make a perception roll for me, Billy Bob. Yeah, Bodhi, what would you like to do?
So once he's plugged in, he wants to try and pull up the information. So he wants to see who it is, if there's any other comms active. As his first choice in the group.
Yeah,
is it groups with other comms and that sort of thing?
Yeah, I mean, what you forget, but you know, it's sort of like hacking 101. You know that you, in order to actually access a comlink, you need a mark on it. Okay. And you won't have a mark on somebody else's comlink. So the first thing you're going to have to do is hack on the fly. To get a mark on the comlink in order to get in there.
I got 2 successes.
Yeah, cool. The corridor for around this area appears to be empty, apart from this body and this snake. Yeah, Bodhi. So what are you doing?
Right. Okay. So I'm going to try and hack on the fly in that case to get at least 1 mark, if not more.
Yeah. So tell me what you're doing. So what does it look like?
Right. Okay. So because there's no host, is there? It's just
it's just a device. Yeah.
Yeah. I've not talked about that. So whilst he's plugged in, he's going to pull up like I can't think of the word. Brain's gone fried. He's going to pull up like a scan of it on his.
Tell me. First of all, tell me how you're going to access this. What level of are you doing it AR? Are you doing it cold VR, or are you doing it?
AR, because I don't want to collapse in the sewer with snakes around.
Okay.
So it's going to be through AR. So he's going to pull it up through that. He's going to see sort of the comm link. It's an entirety, and then you just
do you have like retinal displays or?
Okay. No.
You know when you go AR, what's the image being projected onto?
I've got contact lenses.
Yeah, so therefore you see the comm link, almost like the device in AR through your contact lenses. So it actually looks like something to do like a Japanese puzzle box. That's what the actual comm link looks like on the Matrix. So it's like a Japanese puzzle box. It seems to be made out of wood on the Matrix, and it seems to have a whole load of there's nothing sticking out of it, but you know that with a puzzle box, you can use your hack on the fly to try to open it.
Okay, so you'll see, because it's just a device, it's not actually a host. He will sort of blink a couple of times like this, quite slowly and deliberately, as he sort of like sends a command for his through his cyberdeck to attack onto the puzzle box with a hack on a fly. And then he sees sort of like suspended hands in the air as the hack on the fly sort of like materializes blue see-through hands as they attempt to.
So is that what your hack on the fly looks like?
In this case, yeah, because it's a slightly different circumstance to.
Right. Okay then. So you these blue hands come out, and what's the hands trying to do?
So at the moment they're essentially they're trying to get a mark, but the way it looks like is they're trying to undo the puzzle box so they can get in it.
Okay, so the hands go out and they try to sort of like press at random places and try to sort of like turn it round, trying to get some way of sort of like clicking something out so that you can actually see what's inside it. So roll your hack on the fly test. So that's hacking plus logic.
Specialization applies, yes. 7 successes.
Yeah, you managed to get a hack. You managed to get a mark on it. What does your mark look like?
So the mark, so as he's doing that, you see sort of like a blue smudge of water, so like starts circulating around the outside of the puzzle box, and then every so often you just see a shark fin breaking the water and then going back underneath as it sort of like revolves around in sort of like eccentric circles.
Okay, so you this sort of like appears on the puzzle box as you get a mark, and it sort of like opens, a little drawer opens, so you've now got access to the comm link. Okay,
so the hand sort of like will go into the comm link, and they want to try and find the first thing. Well, they're going to start pulling out all the information, so like pulling it out and going that way. So he's got all the sort of like the main files up and open. So on my contact lenses, I can see sort of like the topic headings of what they are. So whatever's in there.
Okay, so
I'm assuming it'll be like pictures, contacts, those sorts of things start appearing.
Well, it seems to have some kind of data file in there. That is sort of like housing probably everything to do with that the comm link records. So are you trying to ensure that you grab that data? Is that what you're trying to do?
Yeah, so I'm trying to open it so I can see what's on, because the information that I'm after is if it's connected to other comm links, and if so, are those comm links active? That's the first thing.
Yeah, right. This is just a data chip, so it's just data on it rather than connections. You can actually see, sure as you go into it, there's no streams of data coming to or from the comlink in the matrix. If that was the case, then you'll be able to snoop it and then follow the data. But it looks like it's not receiving anything. So do me an edit file roll. So that's computer plus logic.
Two successes.
Yeah, so you start to download it, and as you start to download it, you notice that as you sort of like picking up the stream of data and sort of like picking bits, your hands are picking up bits of this data from the data file, you suddenly notice that on the opposite side of the data file, as you're picking it up, looking through your contact lenses as a puzzle box, the file at the other side has started just to sort of like disintegrate and disappear with the it just sort of like disintegrates, and you try desperately sort of like starting to pick up the data and try to download it to your cyber deck as quick as you can, but you don't manage to get all of it at all. It looks like, and the stuff that you've got you think is quite probably quite corrupted as well. Roll a matrix theory.
Nothing.
Yeah, no idea what's happened here, but you've only managed to get some of the data out of the comlink, and when the data file just goes black and disintegrates, and you just sort of like grab the last piece of data as the whole data file just sort of like goes. Billy Bob and Studley, in the material world, you see this comlink going psst, and you sort of like smoke coming out of it. And as you switch your senses back, or you look through because you're in AR, you can see this as well, Bodhi. There seems to be smoke coming out of it. What would you like to do?
Right, okay. Not much I can do. I think for the moment I'm just gonna so I've downloaded all the information I can onto my deck.
Studley's going to reach forward and pull his DNI out of the comlink.
Yeah, so you sort of like pull the link out, and as you pull the link out, you suddenly notice that the comlink just sort of goes like that, and it just sort of like almost like self-combusts a bit, and there's a slight sort of noise as chips are popped out of the circuitry inside it, and the comlink is now completely and utterly dead. There seems to be there's nothing coming off it. It doesn't even have a presence in the matrix anymore. I just need to check.
Was there some type of security on it?
There must have been, yeah.
Yes, it probably was. We already know that these the people that we're dealing with, this Yuxing corporation, must be very. Personally, I've never heard of it, but it must be very highly rated, maybe even AAA.
You do have some data, Bodhi, on your cyber deck, but it's really there's no visuals at all. It's just going like that, and you there seems to be people. A lot of the sound is sort of like jabbering, and mixed up sounds on it. What do you wish to do?
So for the moment, he's just going to save that because he hasn't got the programs with him to try and clean it all up. And he doesn't think it's probably the best thing to sit in the middle of the sewer with snakes around to try and
So
clean files
so
up.
which program would you be using if you don't have it with you?
Well, he'd have to go off and buy one, basically.
Okay.
He'd have to. He would have thought it would be some sort of cleaning program or something like that.
It would be more like edit file, so you would edit it to get rid of the background noise, something like that. So you would edit the file to change the frequencies.
I thought you had all the available programs.
No, I didn't buy all of them.
Right. Let's see which ones you don't have.
Studley say, did you get anything from it at all?
I got some files, but they're very heavily corrupted. I'm going to have to spend some time cleaning them up when we have an opportune moment.
Was it a data file?
Yeah, I've got quite a few data files. It was probably rigged with something which I didn't check for.
Right. But the data rather than audio.
It sounds like it sounds like video files, but I can't say for sure. I might have got, because I was just picking things at random.
Can you tell whether or not there's any timestamps on them?
No, it's just fuzz.
Okay.
Billy Bob's gonna turn around and say,
Let's move on with caution.
Yeah, we just have to wait for anyone else to check up something.
Oh, no, sorry, I'm listening. Yeah. Yeah. Okay then. So whereabouts would you like to go?
Was there a dog tag or an ID tag of some sort on the guard? Did we check for that?
You know, there's no.
The only thing I could find was a comlink.
Yeah, and you can see from the identification that he was the paleontologist.
Okay.
But gentlemen, there's still six more of the exploration team out now. I suggest that we carry on, and in the hope that we can maybe find at least one of them alive.
Yeah. Okay then. So you carry on. I'm just going to move people back to the other end and put you back in your. I can't remember. Were you second, Studley, or third?
That was indeed Evie.
Yeah, that's the one.
So you sort of like head off down the corridor and the tunnel once more, and the tunnel turns sharply to the left. So there seems to be only one way to go.
Okay, so we'll follow it round to the left.
Yeah, and this then goes it goes a long way, about 400 meters, and you notice that the moss and the fungus is growing a lot more down this way, and the water is flowing, and it comes to a T-junction. So you could go left and right, and you notice that water's coming down from the left as well, and it's almost like joining and sort of like going off to your right. And you notice that the water here it's still not very wide. It's still about 15 centimeters deep, but it's rushing along at a great pace. The other thing that is quite strange at this point, up until now, the air's been quite musty and almost like stale, but suddenly coming from the right hand turn, there's it's almost like a cool wind sort of like freshens you, and the air almost smells fresh, and there's definitely something down there that is different from the rest of the tunnels. There's also an RFID tag here that says 2253.
On what wall?
On the wall directly opposite from you.
Okay.
Sorry. 2243.
2243, not 53.
It's 2243. Yeah, sorry.
43. Yeah. Okay. I suggest we venture right, gentlemen.
Sounds like it's once again doing the best thing that we can do for the moment.
Okay, so you head off down to the right, and you suddenly come to almost like a break in the tunnel. And it looks like the tunnel that you've been on has collapsed downwards. And you can see that there's a gap that's about 5 meters across to the opposite side. And looking down the tunnel, looking down the hole, it seems to go into what you think is a subway. Because as you look down, you can see the subway tracks down below. You don't think it's been knocked down. You think it's almost like collapsed down there. You can see some of the original stonework down on the tracks. So there's a gap in your tunnel now. So I'll just draw it briefly for you so you can see what it looks like. So your tunnel goes like this, and then it carries on like that. So this part here, that is a 5 meter gap. And then going down to the tracks, there's a 6 meter drop.
Okay, so
and there's definitely, sorry, one more thing. There's definitely fresh air coming up from the subway.
Okay, so Studley wants to go to the edge, and he wants to shine his light down. Is there actually rubble on the track?
Yeah, it looks like you don't think the track is being used, but it's obviously that the almost like the tunnelway has just sort of like go like that and collapsed down, and this is where the water seems to be going. It seems to come down here and then just cascade down like a waterfall onto the tracks below.
Right. Is there any sign of anything being used to bridge the gap?
Such as?
There hasn't been anything knocked into the wall that people might have used rope to secure themselves.
Okay. Make for me a perception check.
4 successes.
Okay, 2 things that you can see. The first thing that you can see is that there is some climbing gear. It's on the other side. So it's literally like here. As if somebody's used it to climb up that side. The other thing that you can also see, just when you're doing your torch and moving your torch around, is that there's a tag there on the wall. Obviously, you can't read the time from this distance.
It would look like they've carried on down the corridor, probably using their climbing gear to climb down this side and then maybe climb up the other side.
Seems logical. So we're gonna do the same thing then?
I can't see them jumping the gap. 5 meters does seem a very long way. Yes, I think unless anybody else has any other ideas of how to get across the gap.
Not particularly. I mean, as you said, it's a long way to jump, and it's a longer drop onto a Bodhi peers over the edge of subway. Yes. Don't really fancy being a bug on the windshield if a train goes by.
Billy Bob's going to look at Bodhi and say, "I could throw you."
No thanks, Billy Bob. You dropped me last time.
You don't think there's any chance of a tube, an underground tube?
It does look like it.
It looks like it's probably disused now. But you probably think that the track the original underground, this might be like a sideline, because you remember you're way underneath the contaminated zone at the moment. So you figured that it's probably open to the air somewhere, and because it must be open to the air in several places, because there's definitely a flow of cooler air.
Right, so I think that's probably the way the way to go if we can get down here and then yes, climb back up the other side.
So how are you going to climb down? Billy Bob, are you lowering people down as before, or are you going to do individual climbing?
Yeah.
What's individual climbing done on?
It's done on your gymnastics plus strength. And the number of successes is the amount of meters that you climb. And if it goes that you go, you don't make it right the way down on the first attempt, then you make a reaction plus strength test to hold on to something before you can start going down again. So imagine it that you lower yourself down, but then you need to either keep hold of the rope or keep hold of the surrounding areas. And it's the same thing up. So if, for example, you were really skilled in climbing, you would roll it and say get 6 successes, and then you would go down straight away.
Right, yeah.
You know, so you wouldn't have to, or go up straight away. The only thing that you will have, remember, you will have +2 to your dice roll. Okay, because you can actually climb down away from the waterfall. Because remember, the waterfall is going down the middle, but you can.
And we'd actually have that this time because it's not slippy.
Correct. Yeah, you would actually be able to get that because the water's just going down one area and there's space at either side, so you'll get +2 to your dice roll. So it's either Billy Bob lowers you down, or you go down separately.
I mean, as long as he doesn't drop me again, Billy Bob can lower me down. It might be slightly easier, considering I've got to climb up the other side.
So it's probably a good idea, Billy Bob, for you to lower down Studley, unless Studley wants to climb down.
Oh, I don't know, I'm tempted.
Well, it's up to you.
What do you want to do, Billy Bob?
He's willing to lower you down.
Right, okay.
Okay then, so it's just 6 meters this time, and remember, you only take damage if you fall more than 3 meters. Okay, so Billy Bob, roll your climbing, which is gymnastics plus your strength, but you'll get a modifier of +2 to the roll this time.
Oh, okay. So
because you're climbing with assistance, i.e., you've got ropes, and it's not slippery.
Oh, I'm just rolling it anyway, aren't I?
No, you're having +2 because last time the +2 was taken off by -2 because it was slippy.
So gymnastics plus my strength +2.
Yeah.
Right. So that's 6. Normal roll. 6 plus.
Can you not just roll your gymnastics skill? Did Inwills not change it to be strength on gymnastics?
He did, yeah. Oh, I
just roll that, and then when it comes up situation modifier,
right.
Just put 2 in it.
Yeah. Sorry, I got confused. +2. Oh, that's 3. Oh, 2. 1 success.
Yeah, so you're down to 5 meters now. So this is when Billy Bob then sort of like holds you there for a while.
And then Studley's sort of like legs dangling.
Yeah, dangling out.
Looks more like a tortoise out of its shell.
Yeah, so like that. So roll gymnastics again. With that, you roll.
Oh, with the +2.
Yeah, just roll 2 d6s, and I can add them on.
Number of dice 2.
That's 1 success, so that's 3 meters. So you've only got 2 meters to drop now, Studley. So roll it one more time. Even if he fails, you're not going to.
I know, but
Injured,
Studley's
yeah.
not going to drop himself.
2
Yeah,
meters.
so that's it. So Studley, you're down at the bottom now, and you sort of like
Okay, so he'll undo his
you sort of like
his
step
kind
out of the
of-
harness and everything, and
Yeah.
it's still attached to the rope. So Billy Bob pulls it up, and then Bodie, you'll be the next person to sort of like go down it.
Studley wants to switch onto infrared on his spectacles and just have a look down to the left and to the right to see whether or not he can see any heat sources.
Okay, so so Bodie's coming down now, so that's 3
So-
successes.
As Bodhi was going off to the ledge, he would have looked Billy Bob in the eye, straight in the eyes and gone, "Don't drop me this time." Once is an accident, twice is something else.
Okay, so roll your gymnastics again.
Dun, dun, dun. Ah.
Yeah. And that's Bodie safely down. So Billy Bob, there's just you to come down now.
Great.
So just roll your gymnastics. Yeah, so that's down. You've got 3 meters to go. So you can either climb or you can just jump down that last little bit. You won't take damage.
Yeah, it probably jumped down.
Yeah. Okay. When you get down there, could you all make perception rolls for me, please? How can you critically glitch on a perception roll?
Billy Bob is back up.
Dice.
It's not that far.
So you rolled 6 dice,
and got
no successes. 1, 2, 3, 4,
Five of them.
5 ones.
must have rolled more than
Okay, so you two don't, Bodie and Billy Bob, you don't hear anything. Good job you're there, Studley, because you hear down the corridor, down the subway tunnel, backwards on yourself, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
From that distance, from that direction, you hear a man and a woman talking to each other, and just make a memory check for me.
Dudley or all of us.
No, you don't hear anything, Billy
yeah.
Bob. You're just sort of like undoing.
I'm just
your...
chatting to myself, thinking,
Yeah.
"What? Jump down."
Yeah, Studley, they seem to be discussing the recent Urban Brawl game. And they seem to be talking. You've seen adverts of this up and about, and it's happening over like 3 to 5 days. And they seem to be talking backwards and forwards about it and passing comments about who's done well and who's not done well, and how so and so is doing excellently.
Does it look? Does it from what he can hear about and how it sounds? Does it look like it's more like a TRID program that's playing?
Yeah, well, it sounds sort of like somebody says, "Well, that was a wonderful hit there, and he really took down." Oh, yes, Bob, I really do agree with you there. That was a real good takedown.
Okay.
Oh, yes, Sue. Well, I'm so glad that we saw. Let's look at the slow-mo. Oh, yes, let's look. Just look how his kneecap bends backwards there. And you can audibly hear the snap. Mighty snap, Sue, a mighty snap. We probably heard it across in America. And they just seem to be going backwards and forwards with this chat.
Okay, so Studley's going to put his finger up to his lips and go. And then he's going to say subvocally, I can hear something down the corridor, back the way that we came. It almost sounds like it's a trick playback.
Bodhi. Oh, excuse me. So Bodhi's going
Am I
to.
keeping you away, Bodhi?
Bodhi will reply and say, "Well, I think it's just the change of oxygen." Through his subvocal mic, just goes, "I think it's just the change of the quality of oxygen that's causing me to yawn." Well, are we going to go and check it out then? he says, pulling out his pistol from silenced pistol from his holster again.
Yes, I think it's probably best.
Okay, so all three of you head down the track, and you notice quite clearly that, looking back, you can see how the tunnel has collapsed and come out onto the tube. But, for quite a few meters either side, there's sort of like the odd rock or the odd brick that's actually come off. And you sort of like head down the corridor, and it does one of those curves. It's not a straight like like a 90-degree angle, because of course it's a tube train. It can't sort of like do that, and it slowly eases round, and as it eases round, you hear this more, and then as you turn round,
can we turn our lights off to see whether or not there's any sign of a light source coming round?
Yeah, so you sort of like turn your light sources off when you can see this object, and almost like perpendicular to the track, you can see what appears to be an old subway car. So it's not on the tracks; it's been turned sideways across it, and
so it's blocking the tunnel.
Yeah, and it's sort of like it almost like looks as if it's been jammed in that direction. Maybe it got derailed, or something like that. And it's up the right way though, and it's painted sort of like shades of brown. So it has dark brown. It's almost like a camouflage attempt. And you notice that all the windows are reflective. And you can't... There's no light coming from those. But your thermographic vision demonstrates that there is quite a bit of heat coming off it. Enough heat to suggest it's actually a house. It almost like looks like it's a subway house or subway cart that's been turned into a house.
Right.
Through his subvocal mic, Bodhi's going to say, are we going to get any closer, or are we just going to ignore it and follow the RFID tags?
Billy Bob's gonna he's gonna say,
I've had trouble with underground people before.
I think we need to check it out.
Okay.
So
I'm happy.
as you continue to walk towards it, you get to about like 45 meters, say, away from it, when the door opens, and a rather bedraggled woman comes out, almost like a cat lady. She has really long, straggly, greasing hair. She's not particularly old, and she has several layers on, and you can see all of the items, all her cardigan and a dress and everything like that. And she's got sort of like big boots on her feet, and sort of like woolly tights, and a dress, and like a pinny over, like an apron over the front of her. And you notice that she's definitely human, but she's very dirty. She looks like she hasn't had a wash for quite a while. And she comes out, and you're sort of like walking towards, and also about 45 meters away, nearly 50 meters away, the door opens, and she comes out, and she sort of like looks at you, and you notice that she's carrying a tray. And on the tray there's various mugs. There looks like there's 4 mugs and a jar full of something. So like in the middle of these 4 mugs, and there's like a palette knife, like a cooking knife, on the tray as well. And she sort of like looks out to you. She goes, welcome to my home. Please come and have a drink. I've got fresh hot soya calf here for you.
Oh, are you sure we're not intruding?
Oh, not at all. She's sort of like says, come, take the tray for me and let me put up a table.
Yes, indeed. Studley's going to slowly start walking towards her, but as he does, he wants to switch his perception to the astral to read her aura.
Yeah, make an assessing test for me, please.
So Bodhi, who was sort of carrying his pistol out, is sort of like going to. He's not putting it away yet, but he's dropping it to his side and sort of like crossing his hands behind his back. So the gun's not immediately visible because he's unsure of what how to take the situation. As far as he's concerned, she's a crazy lady living in the subway.
Okay, so 2 successes, Studley.
Mm-hmm.
So right, number 1, she doesn't have any cyberware on her at all. She is, however, magically active. And you know the class of magic with 2 rolls, and if you got more, you would be able to tell how strong she was, etc. But you sort of like look at her and you notice that her aura almost like proclaims her to be magically active, and it also shows her that she's actually she's a shaman. She's not a hermetic mage like you. She's actually shamanic, and that's basically what you can tell as you walk towards her. And sure, she gets towards you. She sort of like hands you the tray, and she sort of like goes back in, and she keeps bringing out, like those folding chairs that you have on camp, and where you're caravanning. She opens those on a table and puts the table down, and you sort of like put the tray down, and lo and behold, there are 4 mugs of steaming hot soya calf, and in the jar in the middle there's something pickled in there, and when you sort of like think, what on earth is that? And it's at that point that she sort of like brings it out, and she sort of like starts to use the knife as if she's taking off pieces of apple. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, and she sort of like goes chunk, 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 chunk. Studley, make a power critter roll.
Pickled naga.
Yeah, it's definitely a devil rat that's been pickled. It's lost all its hair.
What do I know about them?
Well, devil rats are. Let me just find them, and then I can give you the full description.
So whilst you're doing that, so Bodhi's now going to very carefully and very slowly put his pistol away and look at and he's going to glance over at Billy Bob and say if the vocals seems harmless enough.
So a devil rat is it's completely hairless. It can measure up to 1 meter in length, including its tail. They're like nocturnal pack hunters. Billy Bob, you've actually encountered devil rats. When you went on the adventure that you had to go into the sewers.
Right.
There was a pack of devil rats that actually attacked you all. It was a very long and drawn out combat, but it definitely did. They normally feed. They normally are pack hunters. That's what they are. But yeah, she's they probably eat of animals or carrion, and it's definitely, and she's just sort of like slicing it up as if it's like a bit of a Swiss roll, and then just sort of like leaving them on the middle of the page. And she says, "Do help yourself, pickled devil rat." And she picks up the almost like the snout with the bit of ice, and she says, "No, that bit's mine, my favourite bit." And she goes like that, and it sort of like sucks it into her mouth, and you can hear her crunching it. And it's almost like eating a sugar like a boiled sweet, and you can hear it going
Dudley say, unfortunately, I have to decline. I am of the vegetarian nature, but indeed a cup of your deliciously smelling soy calf would be greatly appreciated, and maybe some information if you would kindly spare it.
So you require information, do you? She drinks some soy calf.
Yes. Studley will turn round to the other two and say, help yourself.
Bodhi will take the plate, and from Studley and being polite, he'll offer it straight to Billy. Just takes it and just passes it straight to Billy Bob. So, you first, Billy Bob.
There's not a plate. She's just cut it straight onto the tray that it sat on, so you could just pick it straight off the tray if you wanted any. So
in that case, Bodhi will just say, "Not for me, thanks."
So she sort of like says, "So you want information then?"
Oh, we're looking for some friends of ours who we believe.
I know who you're looking for.
Oh, well, so that might be that will make the situation. Studley wants to keep having a look behind him, see whether or not he can, and switching his perception, see whether or not he can notice any magical creatures behind, maybe like a spirit.
Yeah, you sort of like turn around and switch your senses, but no, there's no spirits in the general vicinity at the moment at all. It just seems to be her aura. And she says, "You want to know about the expedition, don't you?"
Yes. What do you know about? Sorry. What's your name? My name's Stanley.
My name's Eliza. Nice to meet you.
Yes, fair, man. May I say, absolutely delicious soy calf. Best.
I grind it myself. Well, yeah, I heard a while back that you could actually make coffee from the dung and guano of animals. So I quite easily put it to the test. Yeah, and it's so good, isn't it? I mean, I just take a whole load of rat droppings, dry them out, crush them up, and into the blender they go. Lovely soya calf.
At this point, Billy Bob was just about to take a sip of his cup, and he's like sniffing it and then puts it back.
Yeah. No. So you want to?
No. Very nice indeed.
Lovely. I'm glad you're enjoying it, my dear.
Yes. So you were going to tell us about the expedition.
Yes, the expedition. You want to know all about the expedition, don't you?
Yes. Well, I mean, we yes.
Well, I can give you two very valuable pieces of information. I can tell you where the expedition, what happened to the expedition, and also, she looks around like this, and then she sort of leans in, who they found.
Oh, and what payment would you want for such information?
I'm glad you asked that, because I've got a slight problem that I would like a group of individuals like yourself to almost like remedy for me. And for that, I will give you all the information I know.
Oh, no, so your slight problem, would it be time consuming?
Oh, no. It'll only take a few minutes, if that.
Oh, well, Studley will look to Billy Bob and Bodhi.
Wow, it sounds like it could be interesting, and if we get decent information from it, then well worthwhile.
She says, all my information is decent, young man.
Yeah, yes, of course it is, Eliza.
Decent information. Good grief. What do you think I would give you? Lies?
Yes, we will. Yes, tell us more.
Well, all you need to do for me is help me with a certain situation, a certain issue that I have, a certain problem. And she points back to her cabin. She says, just down that corridor, and you can, that tunnel, you just see her subway. She just point, there's someone or something down there that doesn't like me. And it's almost like ruining my house here. And I would like you to just go and... She looks around again and says, eliminate it?
Oh, what can you tell us about the something or someone?
Oh. It's very big.
Right.
And it's very Earth-like.
Big and Earth-like.
Yeah.
It's a rock.
By chance, Eliza, do you know whether or not it's of a magical nature?
Oh. That's a good question. Isn't everything of a magical nature?
Well, yes, everything is of a magical nature. Did you used to be friends with it?
No.
And how long has it been down there?
Well, according to it, centuries. But I think it's lying. I can't see how it's been down here for centuries, if you ask me.
So you've talked to it?
Yes. Well, I tried to convince it to go away. I said, be gone! Go away! Don't come back! You're invading my private space! And it said, no. And sometimes, when I'm, engaging with my magical arts, it's a bit of a hindrance.
And why is that?
Well, he keeps sort of like approaching me and poking me. I don't like that. That's not nice to do to a lady.
And there's no chance of you living in harmony.
No, it keeps...
Bygones be bygones.
It waits till I'm drifting off to sleep, and then it comes along and it rattles the whole subway carriage. My house. I lost pots and jars of pickled devil rat as it has crashed all over the place. And one night he shook it so hard that my under-the-bed bedpan tipped over. I had to live with that smell for weeks.
Oh, forgive me my question, but are you sure it's actually an entity?
Oh yes, it's definitely a spirit.
Ah, right. I was just concerned that maybe it might have been some type of earth tremor.
No, it's definitely a spirit. And I can tell you are a strong magician.
Spirits, yes. Not too good with yes.
So, all you need to do, get rid of it, come back, and I will give you some, and she looks at you, Bodhi, and says, very valuable information.
Bodhi's just going to smile over the lip of his soy calf and say thank you. That'd be good.
Fantastic. Well, if you just go straight through my house, straight through one door, the other side, the back door is directly opposite it. And you suddenly think, yeah, it's almost like the sliding doors open that you get on and off a tube. And he says, you just go through. And it's about, I think it's about 200 metres down there. Do watch yourself, though. It can be a bit nasty now and again. But you'll be fine. You'll be fine. And then all three of you come back, or just what remains of you, all come back. And whoever survives and comes back to me, I will give you your information. So, drink up and off you go. And that seems to be an appropriate time to leave it for tonight. So, so next week you'll start by deciding or carrying out Eliza's request in order to get maybe some very valuable information.
Info.
So, thank you for coming. Thank you, players, for playing tonight. Thank you very much.
No, thank you, GM.
Yeah, thank you.
Can I just say, with your light off, Chugawugga, all you can see is your head and your bit of your neck. It looks like you're just like a floating head, and you can't even see your headphones that well on this stream. It's everything's in darkness.
I mean, what will happen is hopefully next time I will have my new camera up. So rather than
because
rather than the $9.99 webcam.
Yeah. Because it was reduced, wasn't it, from 20?
Amazon Prime Day, a Logitech 920 from $89.99 to £27.99.
Bargain.
It was a lovely thing, yeah. So brilliant. So thank you for coming out and participating. And we'll see what actually happens next week. We will actually be back on Thursday. When it's Call of Cthulhu night, and the investigators will be starting a new job. So that'll be on Thursday, 7 o'clock here, BST, 7 o'clock BST time, with Mr. Pickles, Longshanks EPG, and Chugawugga. They'll be back playing their Victorian gentlemen. And there's always a lot of very posh voices. And I put out in the Discord an example of how Victorians talk, so make sure you've had a look at that, so you understand how to do it. And then I'll probably be streaming tomorrow. May do some PvP on Elder Scrolls Online. I'm trying to level up my DPS Sork at the moment. And then later on in the week, on Saturday evening at 7 o'clock, we will be playing some Mithras, which is a fantasy setting. A bit like Dungeons and Dragons, but the rules are slightly more percentile based and a little bit more demanding than a normal 5e game. So if that sort of like tickles your fancy, then come along and watch us that then, and that'd be absolutely fantastic. So until then, does anybody have any announcements before we go?
I do not.
No,
sir.
Brilliant. So I will just say to each and every one of you, please remember to be who you are and say what you feel, because the people who mind don't matter and the people who matter don't mind. Have fun, guys, and I will catch you all later. And until then, I'd just like to say, consider yourself well and truly waffled. Have fun, guys. Bye.
Goodbye.